Hello, everyone. My name is Richard Fink IV. I'm here with Throga, and today we're doing a special edition related to songwriting. We have Johnny Cummings from Throga Records, and I'm just going to actually switch to gallery view so you can wave as I say your name. Johnny Cummings, that's him in the
Hello.
upper left. And we have Carson Venn. And Carson is someone that we got to know at the Throga retreats, I think, what was the first retreat you came to? What year was that?
Orlando.
In Orlando, 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just a young
Wow.
pup, and
He was a young pup. So we're excited to do this. Johnny and Carson have been working on, I think, a few songs together, right? Over the past.
yeah, we have a handful of songs we've been working since the start of the school year. So this is one of the newer ones that we've been working on.
Awesome. So I haven't heard the song. I know it's called Gravity. So I figured what we could do just to kind of get this rolling is, Carson, if you're up for it, I want to hear the song. So if we do maybe a verse chorus, and what we're going to do is we're going to kind of pick apart the process of songwriting and maybe discover what the song's about, and how you came to put it together, both lyrics and chord progression, all of that stuff. So let's get into it.
It's in the dark room, all alone. Telling myself lies that's all alright, I'm better off on my own. Everything I shouldn't have said, trying in my mind. Value too much, it wasn't never enough to keep you satisfied. Now I see your shadows on my wall. Playing just my brain, now I'm going insane. Since you left, my world's been torn apart. I've been trying my best, but now my life's a mess. Sinking in the ocean, nowhere left to go. I'm lost in my emotion, underneath your undertow. And I keep falling deeper, it's getting hard to breathe. Down here drowning in your gravity.
Excellent.
Nice.
Very cool. So the audio is a little bit weird right now, only because Carson can play piano. So, but I think, are you quarantined somewhere without an in-tune piano? Is that basically the situation?
Exactly that.
So he's kind of stuck playing off a recording that Johnny tracked for him. Where did this song come from, and how did you initially tackle it?
This is probably our third or fourth song. And usually I'd come to Carson and be like, do you have anything you want to work on? Because when I work with artists, I definitely have the intention of having it come from something very personal for them. So, I basically did the usual, what have you got? You got any lyrics or melodies? He's like, I got nothing. So actually we started out just trying a chord progression. So I can kind of show you what we did.
Yeah.
Song is in C minor. So here's the chord progression. C minor, then E flat major 7, A flat, and then you got a D diminished, and then a G7 add 9. So that's kind of advanced. But
yeah, so that's very cool. So I'm curious, did the concept of the song then come from the chords? Is that how this one started off?
So even when we wrote the chords, we didn't really know what we were going to sing about. And it was more of a mood thing, right, Carson?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was very particular. He said he wanted to, he definitely wanted a different vibe than what we had kind of been doing before. And he's really good at spotting what sounds good to him. So as soon as he said that sounds awesome, we go, okay, that's what we're going to go with.
So let me shift gears to Carson real quick. You obviously can write on your own as well. I'm just curious what this process is with Johnny versus if you just took on the song your own. Is there any differences there, or?
There's a lot of differences. I always start with chords because the word hard parts for me. I don't know. I have a hard time putting them together in a way that I like.
Fair enough. So you'll typically have the chord structure inspire a melody, and then you fill in chords last, or sorry, the lyrics last. It's kind of
Yeah, so I'll usually do it that way.
so once you had those chords, once you Johnny worked out the chords, the melody came next. And how did you guys come across that? What's the process there?
Just play the chords and then just kind of play with it. Just
It's kind of just gibberish.
pretty much.
Yeah. So I've been writing for over 20 years, and I've become an expert at gibberish, which means I just make up, just nonsense words and fit it into a melody. So in the case of this song, sitting in the darkness all alone, telling myself lies that it's all alright and I'm better off on my own. So initially it was da 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 da. So that's kind of what we start off, just to give some sort of forward momentum. And again, Carson's really good at recognizing, he can see past the fact that there is no words, and he can hear a good melody. And we happened to stumble across sitting in the darkness just randomly. We had no intention of where it was going to go. It just sounded good. It fit in with the syllables that we needed. And that got the ball rolling. Which with writing, it's such a daunting thing to have a blank white screen. I'm very much a proponent of just getting something down. So we kind of mapped out from, the first verse to the chorus. We had a basic melody in mind, and then we put sort of dummy words.
And I know this from working with you as well. You might start with something like plant some seeds, but I know you're good at drawing from the individual's perspective or experience. So at what point do you do that here with the words?
Well, here's the thing. When we did the dummy words, we kind of left the session at that and kind of let it stew a little bit. So by the time we picked up the next session, we're coming in fresh, and there's certain phrases that just stand out. And in this case, sitting in the darkness, I was like, that's kind of cool. It sets the mood. And then we saw the word gravity, and in our minds, a light bulb went off. I'm like, okay, gravity sounds cool. From that point, we just, I like to just have a talk. I like to not think about the song at all. I like to just have a chat guy to guy and just see what's going on in Carson's life.
A lyrical heart-to-heart kind of thing.
Yes, without even thinking about the song. Maybe the overall theme, if there was something that he could think of that was going on in his life that sort of related to this, but not thinking about how it was going to fit in melodically or rhythmically. And he just started talking to me about his life.
So Carson, without getting too personal, where does this go for you? Like when you sing it, what's the movie in your mind? How does this connect to you?
Well, this song is about pretty much my first breakup, the one that had just happened. I had just broken up with my girlfriend.
The classic songwriting inspiration.
Exactly.
I've written many.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you had something obviously that personal to draw from to kind of that matched the mood then that the song presented.
Yeah.
I'm curious, or going back to the songwriting process, at what point do you get into the chorus? Because I know for me as a songwriter, I've written many songs with Johnny in the past, and sometimes the song will start out in random places, like a bridge or opening line, like you said. But a lot of times you kind of want to have that centerpiece, a feeling of a chorus to go to lyrically. So
exactly.
Did you guys do that as well in this?
Yeah, that's definitely one thing that I always try to keep in mind when I'm writing a song is what's the focus, what's the hub. If a song is made up of spokes on a wheel, then the chorus is the hub, and everything is, you always have to be conscious of relating everything to that main theme. And once we kind of decided that gravity was going to be the hook or the chorus, going back to what you were saying with Carson, it's another breakup song, right? And there's been millions of those. Everything is going to be derivative of something that's been done. So your job as a songwriter is to find a way to express something that's been expressed a million times and do it in your own unique way.
Right.
So in this case, gravity, we kind of connected it with this drowning feeling, and you're drowning in her gravity and her, in her memories.
Oh, that's cool.
So everything has to sort of relate to that. Once that's discovered, and that's not to say that you always have to start out with the chorus or the hook when you write a song. Sometimes you just write anything and just see what comes. But at some point, you're going to want to have that point of reference with your hook, so the whole song can relate to that, which makes it actually easier because now you're not dealing with a million possibilities. Now it's you're starting to make a path, to something. A few technical things you want to keep in mind is rhyme scheme. So in the case of this, if you look at the first verse, so there's 4 lines: sitting in the darkness all alone, telling myself lies that it's all right, and I'm better off on my own. So basically the rhyme scheme we have set up is A, B, C, B. So the second and the fourth lines have to rhyme with each other. So that is set up. If you look at the other verses, everything I shouldn't have said, it's the same thing. So A, B, C, B. And then down here with I just want to close my eyes, same thing. So it's got, once you establish a rhyme scheme, you have to maintain it. And then even within a verse, if you look at the third line, telling myself lies that it's all right. So that within that line, there's 2 rhymes: telling myself lies that it's all right.
Oh, I see. Sure.
So if you look, and so every third line of the verse, we do the same thing. All I see is the memories, and then, but all there is a burning bridge. So it's kind of a cool thing, yeah.
Yeah, and this, I have to say, visually, the lyrics here are very cool. Carson, is that something you can talk about?
Yeah. So basically, with these words, I tried to put a lot of thought in them. The bridge and the flame. When I came up with that, I was kind of thinking like, in a relationship, like somebody starts a flame. At the end of a relationship, it's like burning bridges.
And I'm a sucker too for when lyricists take a really common term, like that, like a burn, don't burn your bridges kind of thing, and they sneak it in a way that just feels very organic. And I think you did that really well there. So
yeah, and that goes along with that idea that I was saying before of taking something that's common and if you can put a unique spin on it, that's a great thing. And he did. He had a great idea. He's like, I want to do something with a burning bridge, and something about her. She's the one that started it with a fire or something.
That's cool.
And we just played around with the phrasing, and it worked out really cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Typically, songs go through like that verse, chorus. There might be a pre-chorus, and there's a bridge. Carson, what's the actual structure of this song? What's the order this went in?
So yeah, this one is just verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus.
And what is the pre-chorus part?
Now I see your shadows on my wall. They interest my brain, now I'm going insane. And since you left, my world's been torn apart. I've been trying my best, but now my life's a mess.
I love that. So I like the way it kind of like, it's like you can feel that you're setting something up, which like lands into the chorus.
Yeah.
And I like the rhythmic
build it up.
It lifts up really good. So I'm really curious about the bridge then. So what was the idea behind the bridge in terms of, again, was that chordally inspired, or was that a lyric shift? Or
the whole purpose of a bridge is to give you something different, because up to that point you have verses that repeat. If you have a pre-chorus that happens twice, that's usually the same melody, and then obviously the chorus is the same thing over and over again. So by this point in the song, when you get to a bridge, the audience wants to hear something different. They want to hear a departure for a second.
If you know right where the music is, I'd love to hear that.
Drowning in the water, my lips are turning blue. It's getting colder, I'm paralyzed from missing you. And I'm stuck in a cycle, there's no open door. Drifting out of reach and I can't do this anymore.
Nice. And so then what is the section underneath here? Does that jump back into a chorus then?
It jumps right back into the chorus. It's just a softer.
But that's actually the parts that we didn't use.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, what the cursor's on right now, I do want to talk about that because that's kind of an interesting point too.
Thinking about you all night?
I'm sinking in the ocean.
Oh.
I think he was.
Oh, I'm sorry, where my cursor was.
I was like, well, I mean, it's kind of straightforward.
Right.
I don't know how much poetry is.
No, it's a really deep line, man.
Deep at the top.
That was actually, that's the first chorus idea we had, which I can sing it to you right now. So, I'm sinking in the ocean, I'm falling into deep. I don't know where to go when it's over. You and me, in my dreams I can feel you pull me farther underneath. Now I feel like I'm drowning in your gravity. I mean, something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Which in and of itself is a cool chorus. But when we came back to the next session and he sang, what we had, there was something about it that just wasn't working in context of the song. And that brings up a good point as far as being conscious of where you are melodically.
Like if you had that pre-chorus and then that chorus, it wouldn't like land the same way.
Yeah, it doesn't lift as much. And that has to do with where it is within the scale. So if you look, if you want to go to the keyboard real quick.
On it.
So if the verse is, sit in the darkness, all alone, telling myself lies that are not all right, and I'm better off on my own. So basically within this range of notes, okay?
Right.
And we wanted to make sure we started the verse in a very comfortable register for Carson. So did it in the darkness, that F to E flat sits really comfortably in his range. So we thought that was a good starting point. But you have to keep in mind when you go to a chorus, you generally want the song to lift. And I mean, a very good way to do that is to take it up higher within the range. So the chorus that we ended up with was, I'm sinking in the ocean, nowhere left to go. I'm falling underneath your undertow. So this is the lowest note in the verse. And then there's the octave, and that's the highest note you're hitting. In general, when you write a song, you want to keep in mind the vocal range, and I like to keep it within an octave and a half, if not lower. So an octave and a half from C, be around that G, right?
Sure. So
the point is, you want to keep in mind, like when you have a chorus or a verse, where the range is. If your verse is down here, da 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 da, and that's 6 notes, maybe the pre-chorus can raise a little bit, or the chorus should usually raise. So that gives it just a nice natural lift. And the reason why that works over the other chorus we had, which was, I'm sinking in the ocean, falling into deep. That's basically the same range as the verse.
Right. So there's no separation then.
Yeah, so that it makes it really tough to lift. I mean, there are songs that have a chorus that don't necessarily get super high, but it has to be a really good chorus to stand out if you're going to keep it low.
Right. And where does the bridge fall into that then? Because I know bridges can be either like bigger energy or they mellow out.
Well, actually Carson had he had a great concept for the bridge going into it to build it. It was almost droney, and he was actually talking about repeating it, like going twice as long as we ended up doing it. Almost like it kind of kept building in intensity.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why we didn't end up doing it, but
we still can. I mean, it's, so this bridge started out low. I'm drowning in the water. My lips are turning blue. I'm getting colder and I'm paralyzed from missing you. I'm stuck in a cycle and there's no open door. So it's kind of, the melody's sort of in the range where the verse was.
And I know for me, I found a lot of scenarios where down the road, like that idea that you have from originally from that chorus may end up turning into, that could be a seed into another song. It might not necessarily be a chorus, but like that melody could turn into something else. You put it in a different key, different tempo, and you get to start all over again. So
Sure.
Was there any, and this goes back to you, Carson, through this process of putting this song together, did you hit any walls creatively?
Yes, I definitely hit quite a lot of walls. There were some days where we would just start thinking about stuff, but we couldn't really come up with anything. But there was also some times where we'd come back and we'd have lots, we could just keep going, or we'd fix something that we had previously done.
Songwriting for me is sort of a delicate balance of being proactive, and the craft of it, knowing, having tools and knowing how to do it. Mm-hmm. But also on the other side, is being sort of in a deep state of listening where you're just really quiet and you're just letting your focus kind of naturally go into songwriting zone where you're kind of picturing, scenes in that you'd like to depict in the song, just kind of getting in touch with some of the feelings that go into it. Mm-hmm.
What was the length of time? Like, when did this song start versus where it's at right now?
What do you think? Three or four sessions?
I'd say
3 or 4 hours?
About 3 or 4 weeks, but we didn't we only worked on it 1 day a week anyway.
That's pretty quick. So like 3 or 4 hours together, but you'd come back to a mm-hmm. session basically with, I came up with this melody or this lyric or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. And sometimes time away is really good too, because your brain actually keeps processing and working even when you're not. And then sometimes you will literally be struggling on an idea, then we won't, we'll come back to it. The idea's there.
So do you find it beneficial to have more than one song at a time to work on for those purposes, or?
Sometimes.
I guess it depends on how big of a wall you hit creatively.
Yeah, sometimes I do that, and sometimes it's literally just not doing anything musically at all.
So you said 3 or 4 weeks. So you guys meet once a week, basically, like for songwriting. Do you record ideas, write them down, or send to each other in between, or you just kind of wait until you connect?
Typically, we just write it down ourselves, and then
there's definitely a synergy that takes place when you're working with somebody else. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoy it because it opens up doors in my mind that I didn't know were there, creative doors. Right. And, I can think that I'm just drawing a blank, and then all of a sudden Carson will sing an awesome melodies, or, just telling me his story. And then just that one little thing that sparks in my mind, all of a sudden I'm writing on an idea that I had no idea that I had in me, that I didn't know I had in me. So it's a very, I love working with other people because you can really stumble upon possibilities that you maybe wouldn't by yourself.
That's awesome. Well, the song's great. If you're up for it, Carson, I'm hoping we can kind of hear the whole thing in one pass. That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah. Sitting in the dark room, all alone, telling myself lies that's all alright, I'm better off on my own. Everything I shouldn't have said, putting in my mind. Did I do too much, or was it never enough to keep you satisfied? Now I see your shadows on my wall. I ain't just my brain, now I'm going insane. And since you left, my world's been torn apart. I've been trying my best, but now my life's a mess. I'm sinking in the ocean, nowhere left to go. I'm lost in my emotions underneath your undertow. I keep falling deeper, it's getting hard to breathe. down here drowning in your gravity. Gravity. I just wanna close my eyes, make it all over. But all I see is the memories reminding me of what we were. At the first time I felt the flame of your desire. But all I see is the burning bridge, and you're the one who lit the fire. Now I see your shadows on my wall. Playing just my brain, now I'm going insane. And since you left, my world's been torn apart. I've been trying my best, but now my life's a mess. I'm sinking in the ocean, nowhere left to go. I'm lost in my emotion, underneath your undertow. I keep falling deeper, it's getting hard to breathe. I'm down here drowning in your gravity. Gravity. In the water, my lips are turning blue. It's getting colder and I'm paralyzed from missing you. I'm stuck in a cycle, and there's no open door. Drifting out of reach and I can't do this anymore. Sinking in the ocean, nowhere left to go. Lost in my emotion, underneath your undertow. I keep falling deeper, it's getting hard to breathe. Down here drowning in your gravity.
Excellent. Good
Nice.
job, man. And great job, both of you. The song turned out
Thank you.
fantastic. So this is song number what? How many of you guys have you guys done so far?
I think this is the second complete song. We did have one in between the first and second, but
I think
never
this is the third complete song.
This is the third complete song?
Yeah.
I'm thinking Carson's thinking the second song isn't complete. That's what I'm getting from this
Maybe.
conversation.
I think that's why he decided to go into this other direction too.
So
Yes.
with this song, is this something that ultimately, we'll be able to hear in a better recorded version down the road?
I definitely plan on recording it, yes.
Awesome. So definitely let us know, and we'll let everybody watch and know when that is as well. So thank you both for your time and sharing your song and of course your voice, Carson. I appreciate that. And Johnny, for your skills as well. So have a good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us.